Chapter 7, top of page 64. William's head was whirling. Maybe he should have thought harder about this plan. But there was no time. She was leaving tomorrow. At last, he had what he had wanted all along, the power to keep her with him. He must not let anything change that. I'll convince her, William said firmly, but I want you to come too. I have a special belt pack I use for long bicycle trips. I can carry you downstairs in that. Be ready for me tomorrow afternoon. She's planning to take the 4:30 bus. That night, William sat with Mrs. Phillips while she packed her bag. I hate goodbyes, she muttered as she folded layers of tissue paper between her clothes. Don't forget this, William said, handing her the photograph from the bureau. She took it from him with a smile and placed it between the folds of a skirt. You haven't been fighting to keep me here as hard as I expected, she said. That's a good sign. I haven't given up yet, William said. Can you sit on the suitcase for me, William? I can't get it to close. No, don't bounce, she cried. You might break something. He slid off the suitcase and opened it. What's in here, he asked, lifting off the top layers of clothes. At the bottom he found a green wooden box, which he took out and put on the bed. I made this for you in woodworking last year. I didn't know you still had it, he said quietly, running his finger along the piano hinge that had been so hard to set in straight. I keep my secret things in it, Mrs. Phillips said, but William wasn't listening. He was thinking, wouldn't you like to stay with us forever, live in a castle with a knight, never leave? What are you thinking about, she asked. Please don't go, he said one more time. She put her arms around him and crushed him in one quick hug. I'm not really leaving, you know. I will always be with you in spirit. That's not enough, he cried. He left the room before either of them could say any more. After breakfast the next morning, William stood awkwardly near the back door while his parents said goodbye to Mrs. Phillips. The grown-ups were all trying hard not to cry, and it made their voices deep and brusque. Please write to us once you get to England, said William's mother. We want to hear all about your life there. You can come back and visit us, said Mr. Lawrence. He leaned over and gave her a peck on the cheek. Mrs. Lawrence and Mrs. Phillips hugged each other for a long time. William could see the tears running down his mother's cheeks, and he looked away. Mrs. Phillips stood at the door and waved them away in the car, as if they were little children leaving for school. When she turned back, she noticed him still standing in the corner. You'll be late, William. He nodded, but didn't move. Go on now, she said. No, I haven't changed my mind, and I'm not going to. Don't you see I can't turn back now, she pleaded. Then don't blame me for what happens, he said as he left. Sir Simon was waiting for William when he climbed up the stairs after school. He could see the small man's body pacing up and down along the wall walk. This school of yours takes up entirely too much of your time, the knight exploded as soon as William was in earshot. When I was a youth, I went to school 2 mornings a week for some few hours only. There were, after all, more important matters to attend to, he added, glaring at William. Despite his worries about what was going to happen in the next hour, William had to laugh. I agree with you completely, Sir Simon, but I don't think my school does. Are you ready to go? Ready? Except for 6 turns around the courtyard and a quick lunch of mouse legs, I have done nothing but stand here attending upon your lordship. Let us get on with this business. I am eager to see the lady, and I expect she feels the same way. William let his remark pass. I want you to get in here, he explained, unzipping the belt pack he had strapped onto his waist. He helped the knight into it and closed it, leaving a small opening so that Sir Simon could see out. Are you comfortable? It will do, came the muffled reply. Mrs. Phillips' suitcase stood by the back door. William found her in the living room. My last tour, she said quickly, her eyes shining. Quite peculiar, really, to know that I won't see this house again. You could come back for a visit, William said. It would be too hard. Certain places you must never return to. She took her dark blue raincoat out of the front hall closet and walked through the kitchen. William, trailing along behind. He could hear faint exclamations of surprise from the belt pack, but he ignored them. I suppose I'd better get out front, or the bus will leave me, she said. I'll take your suitcase, he said, twisting around the kitchen table ahead of her. As she leaned over, he whispered, Get the token ready, Sir Simon. Do it as she's walking up the path, but make sure you wait until I'm out of the way. Mrs. Phillips slipped her arm through William's, and they started up the front walk side by side. William slightly bent over with the weight of her suitcase. "You know I hate goodbyes," she said, "so I don't want you to wait for the bus. You must write to me. I will be leaving for England in a couple of weeks, after I pack up my apartment. I'll let you know my address when I get there. Remember, you will do well in life because of who you are inside here," she said, giving him a thump on the chest. "A brave but gentle person. Keep your toes pointed and your body tight for the back handsprings. Believe in yourself. Be your own spotter. Now give me a hug and go back into the house." At the last moment, just as her large arms were encircling him, William remembered Sir Simon and twisted the bottom part of his body to the side. She may have thought he was pulling away from her because she let him go with a quick kiss. In that awkward moment, he wanted to say, "You're not really leaving, so this hug doesn't matter so much." But of course he said nothing, and he took her suitcase and walked stiffly up the path, forgetting that this wasn't really the end. He stood without moving, imprinting her on his brain. And then she was gone, completely gone. The token had done its work. "Sir Simon, where is she?" William cried. "Down on the ground somewhere, I expect." "Hold on," William said as he ran forward and dropped to his knees. It didn't take him long to find her marching stalwartly forward across what was now the great gray expanse of one flagstone, suitcase in hand. "Mrs. Phillips," he said, in a very small voice so as not to startle her. She stopped and turned around. "Look up! I'm up here." "Where am I?" she cried. "Who are you?" "It's me. It's William." Out of the corner of his eye, William saw a gray flash. "Sir William, pick her up," cried the voice from his belt pack. "The cat!" William reached down and scooped her up, suitcase and all, just before the neighbor's gray cat pounced on her. Very gently, he lowered her into the belt pack next to Sir Simon. "You explain everything to her," he said to the knight. "I want to get you both up to the attic before anything else happens."